Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. Buckle up, as it's a long one, and don't forget to listen to the end of the story to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and please like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Okay, so for context, my husband is James, 39. I'm female, 29, and my sister is Tilly, 30. When my husband and I found out I wouldn't be able to carry a baby, my sister offered to be our surrogate so we could still have a biological child. She did this totally unprompted and on her own. She had divorced her husband over a year ago and was settling into single life. We offered to cover all medical expenses and expenses for anything that could improve her life, pregnancy quality, as it's not legal to pay for a surrogate in my country. She was more than happy to do that, and as time went on, she said she didn't like pregnancy. It freaked her out, and she couldn't wait to just give the baby to us and go on holiday. So 3 days ago, she gave birth to our daughter. She's perfect, and such a beautiful baby, and we were getting ready to take her home when Tilly denied it. She said I couldn't have my baby. I was really confused and asked what was wrong. What did she mean? She said she changed her mind and didn't want to give us our baby. I reminded her that she wasn't biologically a parent to my daughter and reminded her that she hated pregnancy and wanted to go on holiday. She said no, wouldn't let me hold my baby, and made the nurse take me out. Since then, I've been crying and really upset. Our parents are trying to get her to see sense, and none of it made any sense to me until James sat me down and showed me texts he had been getting from her for the past few weeks. They started out innocent, but then she said how the pregnancy was making her want men. He sent back a laughing emoji, but she carried on and propositioned him, asking him if he was attracted to the woman carrying his baby, saying surely it made him feel some way. She sent some risque photos of her in lingerie, and he told her to stop. She wasn't his wife. He wouldn't mention anything as none of us needed more stress, but this wasn't appropriate. Since then, I've been looking over the contract we had drawn up, and there is a clause that allows me to gain custody by showing Tilly's written agreement and understanding of our contract to a judge. I've texted Tilly telling her she has a day to give me my baby, or I will take her to court to enforce the contract and get custody of my child. Our cousins have texted me saying I'm an a-hole for pressuring a woman to give her baby up. But it's my baby, not hers. Edit. If I'm honest, it feels like emotional manipulation. She's had no feelings or attachment to the baby, literally the whole pregnancy. She said she only did it so she could get the private health care. The holiday she's going on was paid by us. Anything she wanted during pregnancy, food, clothes, Dyson hairdryer, we got her. We sent her on wellness weekends. She admitted she wanted some pampering after the divorce and knew we would give that to the woman housing our baby. Well, it looks like OP's sister is holding the child hostage, hoping to get OP's husband. He's going to have to be the one to tell her she needs to give up OP's child to them because he is not interested in her, nor is she or ever will be the mother of his child. OP is not in the wrong for wanting to sue her, and she should go ahead and do it, because she not only wants to take OP's child, but also her husband. Looks like sister always liked OP's husband, and she thinks the baby's gonna seal the deal. Well, she needs a reality check. Baby is OP's, and she needs to fight for it. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Bold and Tired says, really screwed up situation, but you aren't wrong for enforcing the contract. Your sister shouldn't be propositioning your husband, and that is probably the most wrong thing with this whole situation. Satsy Tevin says, did she already have kids? If not, she had no idea what she was agreeing to. Growing a baby inside your body is a life-changing experience. It's the closest possible connection between two people. I believe this is why generally surrogates must have children of their own before signing a contract. I don't think anyone is wrong here. She just gave birth, so mentally she's in a very unique place with all systems set to taking care of the baby. The situation sucks for everyone. Was there counseling before? This should have been discussed beforehand. Maybe Lurking 80 says, I worked for a surrogacy lawyer. You can file an emergency hearing for custody of your child. They may request a DNA test depending on the state. However, your contract was a wise move. Don't waste time. Get your baby. Some people don't think this is real, but it happens a lot more than you would think. Deleted User says, I have done a surrogacy. I will warn you what my lawyer warned my friends that I did the surrogacy for. No judge in the world will rip a healthy baby from a healthy woman who just gave birth to it. You can write all the contracts you want, but it will never be overruled if the mother, me, changes her mind. I'm in an enforceable country, but it doesn't matter because there isn't a judge here that would ever actually enforce it. Mind you, my friends are gay, and I'm the biological mother of the baby I had for them. So good luck to you. You're in for a heck of a ride. Update. We gave Tilly 24 hours before we started the legal proceedings to give us our baby. I've been into work today to keep my mind busy, as I was so nervous, and I work in a hospital, so it's kept my mind busy, whereas James is able to work from home. It's been so hard the past few days not having our daughter with us. We'd imagined being able to spend the first few days of her life together as a family, getting in all the newborn skin-to-skin contact, but instead, we've just been looking at her empty nursery. When I got home from work, James told me that the maternity facility had been in contact to say my sister and our baby had been discharged. One didn't want to worry me when I was at work and had been trying to find them, but it had only happened about an hour before I got home. Then 2 hours later, someone knocks on our door, and it's Tilly holding our baby. She gives her to me and just shrugs and says sorry, but that wasn't her fault. She was attracted to the man whose baby she was carrying, but she'd forgotten how much newborns cry and need to be fed, and said she wasn't the mother. She left quickly after that, giving us the final legal form with her signature on it. Safe to say, we've just been soaking in having our baby with us finally. We've been able to put her in the clothes we've gotten her. We put her down in her crib and fed her a bottle. And most importantly, we've had so many cuddles. We haven't really put her down, and I feel a bit scared too. Like she can be taken away again. She's beautiful, and she's perfect, and her name is Alexandria Renee. So I, 27 male, have 3 younger half-siblings, 24 female, 22 male, and 21 male. We're maternal half-siblings, and I have a different dad to them. Their dad was dating my mom for several years, but they never got married. So he wasn't legally ever my stepdad, but I guess he would kind of get the title since he lived with my mom and I lived with her half the time. He was never interested in me, and I was never interested in him. He used to creep me out. So I don't really think of him like that. But technically, their dad would have been my step. Mine was never anything to them. When my mom was pregnant with the youngest, their dad was arrested and he went to prison. He was briefly released 8 years later, but ended up going back to prison. He wasn't a good guy and has a long list of convictions now. I was 8 when Mom died. I was living with my dad full-time when she died. She was not taking good care of me and was taking her anger about her boyfriend's release out on me through a lot of yelling and talking to me like crap. When Mom died, a social worker got involved and my half-siblings were removed. They had no biological family willing to take them, and the social worker asked my dad if he would consider a kinship care agreement so they could be raised alongside me. My dad said that was not something he would be interested in, and so my half-siblings were placed in foster care. My dad did agree to some visits. We had 1 visit every 2 months for years. The visits were never easy, because my half-siblings would ask to move in with my dad and me, and they would ask why my dad didn't visit, and why couldn't they be with him instead so we could live together. They were separated most of the time in foster care, and would put that on me and my dad as well. I refused the visits once I turned 16. I hadn't wanted them for a while, but it was more annoying than anything to have them repeat the same conversation every 2 months. My dad let me make the decision, because he really had to drag me there for most of the visits anyway. We had no contact for years, and then just over 2 years ago, they reached out to me and said they wanted a relationship again. I told them I didn't, and they said they wouldn't mention my dad again. So I agreed, and things were going all right. Not having to have that fight with him made it easier to care. But then a few weeks ago, I found out at my half-brother's 21st birthday party that they have been lying to people claiming my dad was their stepdad, and he dumped them in foster care as soon as Mom died. They apparently knew most people wouldn't think he was wrong if he was just my dad they never knew. So they spun a story. I told people the truth when it came up, and afterward, I told my half-siblings that I was so done with them, and that their obsession with my dad taking them in is what drove me crazy before. I told them he wasn't their anything, and lying was not the way to win me over. They accused me of ruining their lives by exposing their lies. Am I the a-hole? I feel really sorry for OP's siblings, but they are old enough to own up to reality. None of their family wanted to take them in. They put an idea in their heads that a man that they had not met should take them in. which is understandable when they are little kids in foster care, but not now when they are adults. Life has been very sad for them, but they should have not lied. It's not OP's dad's responsibility to take care of them. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Meow4974 says, "Not the a-hole. While I can understand your siblings' pain and difficulty in being placed in foster care, they don't have the right to place that responsibility onto your father. It seems your dad was well out of your mother's life by the time they came along, and I guess it's easier to blame the one parent still in the vicinity instead of your mother and their father. OP, I'm not sure that you can have a relationship with your half-siblings as long as this is the narrative taking up rent in their heads." Slayer of Drums says, "Not the a-hole. Why would your dad take them in? He has no relation to them, except indirectly through you. Did you ask your half-siblings why they told everyone this story?" Between Weeb and Otaku says, "Exposing a lie almost never makes you an a-hole. Not the a-hole here. I can understand why they'd be bitter about the situation, but to warp the story to make your dad look monstrous was an a-hole move. The question here isn't what your dad did or didn't do, but what your half-siblings did, which was to lie about your dad to make him look worse for no real benefit. I would have spread the truth too if I were in your shoes." I, female 17, have a younger sister, Emily, female 16. Even though they don't say it explicitly, Emily is clearly my parents' favorite child. I can understand why they're proud of Emily. She is a straight-A student, has the lead roles in student theater, swims competitively, is popular in school, and very, very good-looking. I, on the other hand, am probably more plain. I work hard at school, but am not as outgoing or intelligent as Emily, and don't excel at any extracurriculars like she does. My parents always celebrate Emily. We have certificates of her work on the fridge, always have outings and meals to commemorate her achievements, and attend all her swim events and plays. I know my parents love me, but I don't get close to the level of attention, even when I work hard. The other night, we went out with my parents, uncle, aunt, and cousins. We had just been to one of Emily's shows, and she had recently got accepted into a summer scheme she was wanting to compete. The whole meal revolved around discussing Emily and how proud everyone was of her accomplishments. I don't think I was mentioned once. I'm usually more reserved, or just bite my tongue, but midway through the meal, I shouted out, "Maybe if you paid more attention to me and not just your golden child, you'd have more things to celebrate." Everyone just went silent, and my mom said we'd discuss this when we got home and not to ruin the meal. Emily looked shocked and close to crying. To say the rest of the meal was awkward would be putting it lightly. When we got home, my parents shouted at me for embarrassing them and said that Emily deserves to be celebrated, and that if I did something that merited celebration, I would receive the same treatment. I said how unfair this was, and nothing I do gets recognized regardless. Emily joined in and said she works hard and deserves to be recognized for that, and as the older sister, I should grow up and actually work for once if I want her success. I haven't spoken to Emily since then, and my parents are still annoyed at me for ruining the meal. Am I the a-hole? Well, I think OP is in the wrong here. There is a place and time for everything, and OP's comment was not in place and on time. If she has some feelings she wants to share with her parents, she needs to talk to them in private. OP chose a moment that was specifically about Emily to unload her anger. OP also blamed her sister for being who she is. OP needs to apologize and have a serious conversation with her parents about how she feels left out of her family on a regular basis. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Swimming Fix 2637 says, "Although I understand why it happened, you're the a-hole for waiting until you were in public to make a scene and ruin a celebration. You could have chosen any other moment to have a mature discussion with your parents about how you feel they don't see you and favor her. Instead, you chose to lash out and act like a snotty brat. Not cool. Everyone is different. Emily is a social butterfly, and you are more reserved. It's easy to celebrate a colorful social butterfly, and much harder to celebrate a wallflower who makes herself an invisible part of the background. You chose an unfortunate moment to become visible. I think it's time that you have a discussion with your parents about how you feel ignored, unseen, and unsupported. Just remember that while your feelings are valid, they may not be grounded in reality. Your parents love both of you very much, in different ways. There are probably a lot of ways they show you their love that you simply overlook or ignore because it's not identical to how they show Emily their love. Have that discussion. if only so they can offer you reassurance that they do in fact see you and love you. Amazing Maine 9963 says, "You're the a-hole. Your sister just had a show and it was to celebrate a good show. So of course Emily is going to be the main focus. You were jealous of your sister, which happens when you have an overachieving sibling. But it's not her fault how your parents act towards her, and she shouldn't have her moment ruined because of it. Please apologize to Emily for treating her so poorly, for simply doing her best. Just like you want your parents to be proud of you, she wants the same, and deserves it when she does something good." Heidi RSDK says, "Everyone sucks here, but honestly, I feel like people are being way too harsh on you here, OP. You know what you did was wrong, especially the timing, but people demanding more info on your achievements are just as big a a-hole as your parents. Not every child has special skills and perfect grades, and yet other parents find a way to celebrate. You are being unfairly compared to your sister. That sucks. You are 17, so of course you react. That doesn't make you a brat or justify judging you like this. Apologize to your sister, focus on finding something you love to do, and accept that your parents are likely never going to really see you. I know, this is Reddit, so tons of therapy and healthy communication, etc. But the sooner you learn to adjust expectations when people show you their character, the better. You can readjust if they change.